We're heading to the testing facility in my area for the FAA Part 107 pilot certificate, and I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous. If you don't know, the 107 pilot certificate is the drone, the ability to fly a drone or a UAS in furtherance of a business. And how long ago has it been since we purchased the Mini?
A year or two, probably. Well, it was before.
It was before the thing.
So at least 2 years.
At least 2 years, and we purchased it not in any way expecting to really get into flying it in furtherance of a business. We just really wanted to work with it for social media, YouTube, fun, of course, and we purchased the DJI Mini, the Mini 1, the first Mini, which was 249 grams, just underneath the legal limit of having to register it. And the registration for a drone or a UAS is $5 every 3 years if you weigh over 250 grams or more. But the thing is the more we kind of get into the government regulating drones, they're more expecting that even if you're shooting for free, or not necessarily for free, but even if you're shooting and you're not charging people for anything, or you're not selling people footage or services, even if you're not doing that, just by putting something on social media, you're in furtherance of a business. And in our endless quest to make sure that we're as legal as possible, we decided that, first of all, we've been having a lot of people recently contact us about just different drone and aerial stuff. And so we bought a new drone. We bought the DJI Air 2S, which has that 1-inch, that sweet 1-inch camera sensor. But we figured not only that, but let me figure out the 107 license, and that way we don't have any problems, and we can take any job that comes our way. If somebody wants an inspection, a roof inspection, a power line inspection, a tower inspection, whatever, that we can provide it legally. When did I start getting into the testing?
Started to get into it about a little more than a week ago.
A little more than a week ago, I think, is when I kind of got gung-ho into it. I figured to myself, you know what, I need to do it. And you don't need to go through a course. And in fact, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, because, well, we got some time. But I'll talk a little bit about the way I approached it.
Continue straight for 11 minutes to Defense Highway.
I'll talk a little bit about how I approached it, and the way that was you can go online and get all the information, either through the FAA rules and guides, if you're that kind of a weirdo, or if you're my kind of a weirdo, you could probably hodgepodge together so many different resources and go from there. But and I like doing that. I like reading the crazy books. I like reading the crazy photography recipes, everything, and I like being able to do it on my own. But I did go with a course for this, and we've long since been fans of Ken Heron online. One of the go-to names for drones on YouTube. Check him out. He's an amazingly funny guy, and very knowledgeable as well. Well, he recommends this service called Remote Pilot 101, and I looked at it. Ken had like a discount code. It came out to like $105, $110 to be part of this Remote Pilot 101. And not only are they there for the main test, but for recurrent test as well. And the interesting part with that is they update their videos every time the wind blows and the FAA wants to change something. They update their videos, and I found that to be extremely, extremely helpful. Did I use Remote Pilot 101 only? No, I looked at several different other videos and just spent days upon hours upon hours just figuring out things. If I go through a question and I don't understand something completely, well, I'm going to go branch off and learn how to do that. Because the problem is the FAA test is a pool of allegedly 600 questions, 60 are asked today in random fashion, and I have to get a 60% or higher to pass. Now, when I first signed up for the class for Remote Pilot 101, they have an exam, and I jumped straight to that exam to kind of get a baseline of how dumb I was. That was kind of too Ken Harris. How dumb I was for the FAA, and I got a 72 point something. So I was happy. The thing is if you read the questions, if you take the time to figure it out, are you going to pass it without any study at all? Probably. Should you?
If you know the basic rules of drone, you're gonna pass it, and if you use common sense, which
heck, you read the answer and you think like the government. You read the question and you think about the answers from a government standpoint, you're gonna be A-okay. But it became something more, because going online, I kept seeing people kind of brag about their scores, which, depending on which way the wind blows, your score, you can have a weird pool of questions, you can have the normal pool of questions. It just was what it was. And then it became kind of a quest to try to get as high as possible. I'm aiming for a 90 or higher. I see a lot of people that kind of talk about putting this effort in, getting like high 80s. My goal is a 90 or higher. The practice tests, I've been blown out of the water. The problem with the practice tests are there's only so many in the practice test pool, and that becomes a problem because you start learning the answers. And I could go through and look at the answers first and know exactly which one was the right one. You start to learn the answers, but the most important part is make sure that you have a rock solid foundation on why. They're asking you what a frequency is for a certain airport. You make sure you know before you look at that sectional chart that that you're going to be able to go in and find out what that frequency is. Yeah, you know that question by heart, but in your brain, you know whether you know it or not. And you know that you'd be SOL if they gave you a different example. We are almost there, and I'm kind of glad I threw the old GoPro up on the window, because like I said, I'm kind of nervous. I didn't sleep good at all last night. I've got maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that. And it just got to a point where I was so tired of, I was going to say all day yesterday, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go through everything over again. I got so tired of looking at the stuff, and it was so mind-numbing. I just couldn't. I stopped. I leafed through my sectional chart, legend, a couple times yesterday, and that was it. Well, all right.
Here comes John, just done with his test. I wonder how he did.
I passed, but I got an 88. I'll talk more in the car. I'm out. I passed, but I got an 88. The test is completely different than any practice test you do. First of all, the test is completely different. Could you still go in there with the supplemental book they give you and look at the, you could drive if you want to. Can you still go in there with just the supplements they give you and the legends they give you and get past the charts? Yes, I think so. I think you could. Can you go in not knowing much about the METARs and the TAFs? No. And it's kind of interesting because they ask you questions that, you know, I've done a lot of online practice tests, and the questions are eerily similar. They have a faint echo of being similar, but they're not. They're not anywhere near similar. And you need to know. You absolutely need to know. From the test that I've taken on Remote Pilot 101 or on pretty much any other site, I think maybe I got 4 questions that were the same. 4 questions I'm like, oh, autopilot, I know exactly what to do on this. I know exactly what the answer is, bang. But they second guess you a lot. They ask you a lot of questions that I got quite a few, because they asked you questions that I know about remote ID and I know about operating over vehicles, but they ask you really specific things. So the thing is if the FAA releases something that changes the rules, the latest rule change, you need to know front and back. One was categories. What category can operate over vehicles? What is the only category that can operate over vehicles? And there was a couple different. It was category 1 to 4, which I don't think was right, because that's just not right. I don't think so. You know, you get in there to talk. You get in there thinking about flying over people, which is a no-no, and vehicles is a no-no. But they give you 2 answers that are category 4, but with like certain restrictions. What else to know? What else to absolutely know? I mean, and I don't fault some of these online testing facilities for not having the updated stuff. I mean, when I go in there, and I went in there, and they can only get stuff that people like me can come out and say, oh, well, there was a question about this, and here was, you know, when I went in there, it was very government-like. It was an empty room with like the most generic desk, like 5 or 6, I think it was 5 chairs in the main room with a clipboard. Do you understand the safety procedures for the thing? Do you understand that you can't cheat? They're going to report to the FAA, which is good. You need to know that. Filled that out. They brought everything up. I needed to sign a couple more paperwork. They gave me a red bag to put everything in my pockets in. I could have nothing but my glasses, put everything in the bag, and they lock the bag, and then they say, okay, hang it on the back of your chair. Look, this is a UAS test. You shouldn't need to cheat, but I mean, they're doing like real pilot exams in there as well. Get in there, and they give me the supplement book. They give me, instead of paper and a writing utensil, FAA says writing utensil, they gave me a piece of transparency paper, a dry erase marker, and an eraser. I didn't use any of that. They took everything back. I mean, they gave me this supplemental book, and it's like they took it back. They took it back after the end. I thought about asking. It's like, do I keep that? I mean, for $175, do I get anything? But no. And then you go in, they try to tell you to keep quiet. You go in there, they tell you that they have earplugs. I asked about a calculator, and there's a calculator and a pencil on the desk already. The testing software also had a calculator on the bottom, but I didn't play with it because that testing software was clunky. I mean, it worked. It was kind of clunky. And something that was kind of weird was, like, before they told you to get up and go get your test, they did a survey. They did like a questionnaire. So maybe depending on how critical you are of their facility, they may bump you down a little bit. I'm sure they don't, but it kind of felt like that because yeah. And it's difficult because when I was working in the testing facility, they give you earplugs. You can put earplugs in. They had a white noise, one of those dome white noise generators, but you could still hear people out in the lobby, even though they tried to keep their voices down. So I mean, you can only do so much. And there were cameras above every station, and when I was signing in, I could see all the people kind of, you know, the down look of the cameras. And there was one of those one-way mirror glass kind of observation windows, just to make sure nobody was cheating. And then when you get in there, it's kind of like a horseshoe. It's a square room, and it's like a horseshoe around the room at the corners and the edges of the room. Had to wear a mask at all times. It was stuffy. It was warm. You know, they tell you no baggy clothes, no coats, no stuff. I had the puffy red jacket on. I gotta go get the puffy red jacket. Oops. Thank you, YouTube, for having me talk about my puffy jacket, because I would have left my darn puffy jacket. Just gonna shove that in there. But yeah, it was. I got to a point, and I talked about having your face mask on and everything, which I can understand, and it was clean. They seemed to do a good job with making sure that everything was sterilized and sanitized and everything. But it got to a point where you could go through your questions, and the ones you're not sure about, you can bookmark. And then when you're done, you have a list of your questions on like a drop down that has all the bookmarks in red. So I went through them again. I wanted to go back through a third time. I mean, in the 2 hours I had like an hour and 20 minutes remaining. I took my time the first time, but it was stuffy in there, and I had this darn face covering on, and at one point I kind of lifted it up to get some air, and I might have gotten a 90 if I would have went through again. But at this point, everything's so different, and everything's just changed. And they're asking stuff from the new laws, which I knew was going to be on there, but I figured they were going to be, they're going to be softball questions, kind of like everything else. But no, they got really in depth. So I would say definitely read up on whatever the latest flavor of the week is, because they're going to be in there and they're going to be detailed. And that's it. Good luck. I got an 88. I'll never have to take the test again unless they change anything, because all the recurrents are now. But yeah, I wish I would have gotten a 90. It was my goal. But I'm happy with an 88. I'm happy with an 88. No big deal.
You were almost 90.
I was almost 90. But the majority of the questions there, do they really pertain to the majority of drone use? No. Should you know them? Yes, definitely know them. But yeah, all right. Oh well, here it is. It just kind of sucked that it was so uncomfortable in there, just with the facial covering. Look, I understand we're in the middle of the thing, but dang it, I would have gotten higher if I would have went through them again, because I bookmarked the stuff I was not entirely certain. If I couldn't process of elimination get rid of the other two questions, and well, if I didn't know the answer, I booked. If I didn't know for 100%, I bookmarked it, because like I said, they changed the wording around, and you had to read over and over and over, read, process of elimination, and then go right back around and try to make it happen. That's all I could say. Know the latest stuff that's going to be there. Know your chart stuff. No more than the chart. One of the questions was at the south boundary of this town, and one of the signifiers for a populated area or town is kind of a yellow box, a yellow weird shaped box. And had I not known that, then I may have gotten a question wrong. But that's all stuff that's in the legend, that's in the cheat sheet on the book of what everything is. But they didn't give you everything. When you download the aeronautical chart supplement stuff, it's pages of stuff, which is cool. It's actually interesting seeing how they lay out these chart supplements, but you don't need that. But as I say, you don't need that. Should you learn them? Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And I only got 60 questions. Who knows what the other 540 in the pool were? I just know what I got. Yeah. And look, the Remote Pilot 101 did a great job at getting me at least to 70%. At least to 70%. Had I gone in there and taken that test when I got a 72 on the remote pilot test, I would have failed it. But knowing that they got me at least to 70, and the rest of the way is on you. No matter how, you got to put more effort and more work into it. And now, before the rule changes here, this is what, September, end of September in 2021. Before the rule changes on remote ID, flying over people, yeah, probably. I probably would have aced it, or 98% or 99%, whatever it is. But the way it is now, just because of so many rule changes and they change everything up, yeah, that's just how it is. So, oh well. At least I look forward to my first legal 107 flight. Hooray. When did I
In
start?
1,000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 7, Maryland 32 West, Maryland 3 South, Bowie, Odenton.